Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Isn't this interesting when someone keeps telling you it's A, and all of a sudden says it's B. But he told you it's A because there's no B. But now they tells you it's B, but there's no more A. And denied for so long the existence of B by claiming it was only A. So, concretely, would be this. The Ukrainians and the Americans and the Brits used to tell us that the Russian pilots are gone. First, they have garbage airplanes, rusty Suhois and MiGs. The helicopters are slow, all right, and easy to detect and shoot down. The Russian pilots are, if you know what I mean, like too much vodka and are not prepared, okay? Their airplanes, as I said, are garbage, they're not trained, and there were so many shut down that the Russians don't have any more pilots. Did you hear that? I heard it many times. And it happened in the first maybe month and a half during the war in Ukraine between these guys and Russia. All right, so now we find out somehow, which I made a video on this one, but I will tell you in a minute, somehow the Russians are creating an elite force, air force, a group of elite fighters with elite airplanes and helicopters to inflict some damage into Ukraine. How is that possible? How is it possible? The same. I heard it so many times that the Spetsnaz and the special forces of the Russian Federations are decimated. And the Russians need 25 years to replenish, bring it back where it was. And all of a sudden, about 2-3 weeks ago, I started finding out from the Western media that actually the Russians bring their special troops in Bakhmut. Where from? They took a shed full of Spetsnaz or something? Well, apparently. So the same with these guys. The Russians are bringing their airplanes. But so what's the whole scare here? As I said before, planes are garbage, pilots are drunk, the best ones are dead. Psst, let's have a little party. There will be like target practice for the Ukrainians and the volunteers. So let's see what's going on here with these weasels. Ukrainska Pardon, the new voice of Ukraine. The same thing. If I use a new voice of Ukraine, I say Ukrainska Pravda, you can think the same way because they have the same sponsor, the Ukrainian government, and the money comes from us. Russia likely creating new elite. Oh my, elite. I thought it was only reserved for the Americans, British, sometimes French, and obviously Ukrainians. Attack aviation group to strike Ukraine, says UK intelligence. Trustworthy, I must add. UK intelligence that told us about those weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Anyway, so Russia likely creating a new, so it was an old one, but now it's a new one. Elite attack aviation group to strike Ukraine. But how can they? Now they have Patriot systems. How would they just dare to even think about that? With those Patriot, a fly will not cross the border. A fly. UK intelligence, already got my attention, said the unit is likely to consist of at least one squadron of Su-24 Fencer and Su-34 fullback fighter bombers and a squadron of attack helicopters. Garbage, don't be scared. All right. Look what's over here. Read also. After losing its best pilots in Ukraine, Russia training new ones, but not nearly as good, Air Force says. Okay, let's move on. The agency, UK intelligence, that's the agency, stressed that a mix of aircraft types suggests the group will have a primary role of carrying out ground attack missions. Oh, so that means they're going to come closer. In addition, credible Russian media reports suggest that the Russian Ministry of Defense aims to attract highly skilled, no such a thing, highly skilled, and motivated pilots by offering large pay incentives and opening recruitment to retired aviators. That means what? Over 50? Okay. And I'm quoting, if they are retired, they are retired because of age or because of medical problems. They're not retired because they want to see the world and have some ladies of the night in Tahiti, okay, around the campfire. So you bring those and you're going to call those elites. They're elites in certain areas but not elites in others, because they're put on, how should I put it, they're retired because of certain reasons. Anyway, so that's why I do not believe this one. You can, if you want, on your own risk, at your own risk. And I'm quoting, the creation of the group highlights how Russian assets assesses that its regular Air Force squadrons have severely underperformed in their core function of conducting airstrikes on Ukrainian lines. End quote, the UK minister said in its daily summary. So this is their conclusion that they came from. So if these guys create an elite one, is because the army sucks. So anytime, use the same logic, guys, anytime you're gonna hear the Ukrainians creating a special group of fighters or whatever within the military, or the Americans or the Brits, anybody, use the same logic. That means the regular army doesn't perform well. It's like sucks, basically. Do you think they're going to use the same explanation, the UK intelligence memo? I bet not. So that tells me these guys are just wankers, just to use one of their term, okay? You thought I didn't know that? I had some British, I have some English, I have some Scots, I have some Irish friends from Great Britain, not from the United States of America. Anyway, all friends from a long time ago. And I learned the most important terms. And one of them was that. The other one was the C word from my friend that starts with a J, and I thank you very much. I didn't know that word until I met him, and he used that like breathing. The see you next Tuesday kind of word. That's kind of one, yeah. So he was using that all the time. Funny guy. I always liked him. Intelligent, very intelligent guy. English. And he wanted me to know that he's English. I learned a lot of jokes from Mr. J regarding... Anyway, let's move back here. So whenever you hear that whatever army on this planet creates a special force or an elite one, let me read you what this guy said again so you don't forget it. The creation of the group highlights how Russian assesses that its regular Air Force squadrons have severely underperformed. Okay? So, anytime someone creates something special, it's because their regular troops sucked. They're not going to use the same logic when it's about the Americans or anybody else, you know. So, just so you know. And let's see if these guys are doing this. Why would they do it? Well, the first thing they can, they see the benefit, and probably there are some openings that are there. Because, you know, sometimes you can't afford doing certain things because the enemy can shoot you down. But if you are able to do this kind of thing, that means maybe you got more certainty that you can achieve the goals. That means maybe the enemy was depleted, or certain things that had before and now doesn't have it, or maybe you keep them at bay with your artillery. All these things could play a role. Don't buy the shit these liars are giving to you. Like, oh, they're depleted. Yeah, some planes were destroyed, guarantee you. Some pilots lost their lives, guaranteed. But, you know, these guys exaggerated from, I don't know, this to that. And I made a video a while ago when I calculated how many pilots, available pilots. I said, okay, let's take a pilot. A pilot of a fighter, I would give an experienced one, let's say from 25. I would give it from 25 years of age. You should be, if you started at, let's say at 18, 19, 20, you got 5 years. I think you're pretty good if you do a lot of hours in over there, and not only 5 years. So that's 25. 25 to what? To 55. I said 55. Okay. So then, or let's give 50. Even if I give it 50, it's 20 years. In 20 years, how many pilots Russia was created? So that would be the pool of 20 years. So if Russia had 1,000 pilots a year, there should be 25,000 pilots at least available. I said 25, and I said 1,000 a year. It's like I have in high school or college. You know, the next generation graduates, and I said 1,000. How much you want me to give? 500? 200? Even if I take even if I take 200, there's still gonna be what? About 500. What I say? I said 200. Let's say 200 a year, and still 200 a year. You got 2,000 in what? In 10 years, and you got 4,000. You got what? You got 5,000. At least 5,000. I think in 25 years. And it's a please. And how many planes did this guy said they shot down? 500 or 400. Now let's cut in, divided by 3, so we get probably to reality. So maybe 100. Let's say 100 and something. 100 something. Even if you put 2 pilots in each plane, which some of them are single seat and some of them are double. So let's say let's put it half. So you get 100. Let's say 150 pilots dead. Out of what? A minimum of 5,000. And these guys are talking that they don't have, they depleted their elite fighters. And do you think only those guys, 150 pilots that were shot down, do you think they were all elites? Again, mathematics and the laws of nature are the same in Great Britain, France, Russia, and Ukraine. So you can't, just, oh my God, make a little calculation. The same. Russia has no army, no more troops. Potentially, if they do a general mobilization, they could potentially get about 30 million people. Potentially, they have it if they get desperate. And I guarantee you there will be a lot of people to serve for the motherland when these guys are going to say, look, these guys are advancing towards our country. Remember Soviet Union? Remember the Panzers? Woo, 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 let's go. So you will find a way. But again, no, they have what, 600,000 people. Oh, that's a lot. It is a lot. But it's not how much they really can muster. That's why I say Russia is not really fighting with everything it got. It fights maybe 5% of what the capacity it has. Why? It doesn't have to. It doesn't want to rock the boat economically, socially in the country. It's just the only reason. They don't want to rock the boat. They still want to have a certain kind of standard of living. People are okay. Don't see a lot of body bags coming back home and so on. And you can sustain this, make it a sustainable war, and until those guys get sick of it, or there's going to be no more Ukrainian. As some Russians said, okay, if they want to fight until the last Ukrainian, well, we're going to get there, unfortunately. And other people are counting their monies and interest and influence on this planet. And these guys, brothers, are killing one another. Well, you don't see it that way? It's okay. I do. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.